Week 11 of the fantasy baseball season. Here's a few hitters I look to buy and trade for this week. The first hitter, Eugenio Suarez of the Cincinnati Reds. I know Suarez, he missed time early in the year with injury, and he just really hasn't got back on track. I know he's a low batting average guy throughout his career for the most part, but the home runs are way down on the year and the RBIs. And hitting in a bandbox like Cincinnati, you'd think you get more opportunities to drive in runs and hit homers. So like I said, I think Suarez, he'll get things going sooner than later with the warm weather coming in, and also in a small ballpark like Cincinnati on the year. 4 home runs, 15 RBIs, 13 runs scored, a 227 average, and a 306 on base percentage. The last 2 weeks since he returned to the lineup, Suarez a homer, 4 RBIs, 3 runs scored, a 214 average, and a 324 on base. As Suarez, I said, he's a big time power hitter. Last season hit 49 home runs with Suarez between the Diamondbacks and the Mariners. And like I said, he's in a bandbox over here in Cincinnati. It's a pretty solid lineup, even with LA De La Cruz now on the injured list. And I think Suarez, he'll get going sooner than later. May 29th versus the Braves, 0 for 4. May 30th versus the Braves, 0 for 4. May 31st versus the Braves, 1 for 3, a homer, 2 RBIs. And June 1st in yesterday's game versus the Royals, 1 for 3. So like I said, if you need power and a guy's going to drive in runs and he's batting cleanup or fifth usually in this lineup for the Cincinnati Red team, it just takes him a little bit to start hitting them in bunches. And that's what I think is going to happen with Suarez sooner than later. So definitely a hitter to buy this week. The next hitter, Kyle Tucker of the Los Angeles Dodgers. Kyle Tucker, biggest contract, short-term deal of all time. He got $60 million a year from the Los Angeles Dodgers, where it was between them and the New York Mets. And obviously, he went to the Dodgers, and so far, he's been a total bust on the year. 4 home runs, 27 RBIs, 37 runs scored, 4 stolen bases, a 238 average, and a 336 on base percentage. So the one thing with Tucker, I'll give him, at least he's been healthy this season. But honestly, you should be when you're making this type of money, and he's been a big train wreck, no doubt about it. But this Dodger team has all-stars all over the dime, and that a guy like this coming in and not performing is not going to make a difference for the Dodgers usually. In the last couple weeks, no home runs, 4 RBIs, 5 runs scored, a 171 average, and a 261 on base. So this Dodger team, maybe a little bit of a hangover from the World Series, even though now we're almost 3 months into the season, but they're going to get things going. Tucker's too talented of a hitter. Last season, he finished with 22, 73, and 25 stolen bases. I still think he could get to that mark. He's going to get more pitches to hit, obviously, in this lineup than he did in Chicago with the Cubs. And like I said, maybe he's still adjusting to the West Coast and this Dodger team, and sometimes it takes a whole season for these players or a few months. But like I said, I don't think his power numbers are going to go that down like they have. May 29th versus Philly, 0 for 3. May 30th versus the Phillies, 0 for 4. May 31st versus the Phillies, 2 for 4 with a run and RBI. And June 1st at Arizona, 0 for 3. So like I said, something's got to give sooner than later, I think, with Kyle Tucker. He's too talented of a hitter, still a young player as well, to get things going. And especially in a lineup, like I said, all these all-stars and great hitters, he's going to get pitches to hit. I know early in the season he was batting second or third in the lineup, but now he's been moved down to fifth as Kyle Tucker. So, like I said, we'll see if he could get things going. But right now, with nothing going on for Tucker, definitely a hitter I would buy this week, because like I said, it just takes him as well a couple weeks to get back on track. Acuna was on this list last week, and now he took off with 5 home runs in a week. And I think Kyle Tucker could start taking off as well, where he's a talented player, and obviously he was a first to second rounder in most fantasy drafts going into the year. Next player is his teammate Mookie Betts of the Los Angeles Dodgers. So Mookie Betts, we know he missed about 3-4 weeks of the season early on, and he's been back and he hasn't gotten anything going on the year. 6 home runs, 16 RBIs, 14 runs scored, a 196 average, and a 259 on base percentage. So Mookie Betts, his strikeout rate is still down, only 14 strikeouts in 102 at-bats on the season, but the batting average way down below the Mendoza line, but the power numbers are still there, which obviously I think is a plus for Mookie Betts, where he'll still get his 20-25 home runs. But the last month, 4 home runs since he returned, 9 RBIs, 7 runs scored, a 203 average, and a 250 on base percentage. So he's had a decent sample size since he returned from injury, and he really can't get anything going. So right now, the Dodger team got their 4th and 5th hitters struggling. Obviously, Teoscar Hernandez, he's out with injury on the injury list. May 29th versus Philly, 0 for 3. May 30th versus Philly, 3 for 4 in RBI. May 31st versus the Phillies 0-3 home run, and June 1st, last night at Arizona 1-4. So like I said, this offense is too talented. Might be a little bit of a hangover from the World Series, even though I said Kyle Tucker wasn't on the World Series team, obviously, last season. But this Dodger team, they flipped that switch, and it could come at any time. So I think Mookie Betts, he's going to get it going. He's going to get back on track. Like I said, he's not striking out. He's putting the ball in play, and he still has 6 home runs and 102 at-bats. So Betts, I think, will be better off than Tucker coming out of this slump. But both these guys are definitely hitters you're going to want to get, because once they get going and this Dodger lineup gets going, hitting on all cylinders, they can help your fantasy team in a big way and even carry you for a few months. Next hitter, Austin Riley of the Atlanta Braves. So Austin Riley, the last couple seasons, his numbers have definitely taken a hit, and especially batting average-wise the last couple of years. This guy was a 290, 300 hitter for the most part, but the last couple seasons his power and average has gone down, and so far this year, 8 home runs, 32 RBIs, 30 runs scored, 3 stolen bases, a 209 average, and a 285 on base. In the last couple weeks, only a homer, 4 RBIs, 6 runs scored, a 179 average, and a 298 on base percentage. So he's struggling mightily, but this Brave team, they're running away with the NL East, best team in the National League as of now, record-wise. And Austin Riley, he's still a young hitter, and I don't think in a couple seasons he's going to lose it all. So I think he's going to get going sooner than later. I think his RBIs is still decent at 32, and the power isn't totally horrible with 8 home runs on the season, and he's in a very talented lineup where they've moved him down to 6th recently, and I think he'll get going May 27th at Boston 0-3, May 28th at Boston 0-5, May 29th at Cincinnati 0-3 with 2 runs, May 30th at the Reds pinched hit 0-1, and May 31st at the Reds 0-3 with an RBI. So maybe the day off will help Austin Riley. Like I said, though, he's definitely struggling mightily for his last 15, hitting 209 on the season, but Riley as well, it takes him a little bit to get going. And like I said, this Brave team, even with Riley and Acuna, who was struggling until recently, till he got hot this week, they're well-oiled machines. So I think Riley, he'll get things going sooner than later. He's too good of a hitter, young in his career, to break down and not be what he was. So I think this week could be a turning point for him, and definitely a hitter to buy this week. And the final hitter I look to buy and trade for is Manny Machado of the San Diego Padres. So Manny Machado, he's hitting 174, and he's pretty much been a home run and nothing is Machado, where usually he's a 270, 280 hitter on the year. 10 home runs, 30 RBIs, 28 runs scored, a stolen base, a 174 average, and a 267 on base percentage. So Machado, his strikeout rate is still around the same or even better than it was last season. His on base is still about almost 100 points higher than his batting average. So it's just, his batting average is horrible this season. In the last month of the year, 6 home runs, 13 RBIs, 10 runs scored, a 125 average, and a 189 on base. Every other number with Machado is pretty much where it's supposed to be. 10 homers and 30 RBIs about 3 months into the season isn't horrible. And like I said, he's still going to finish 25, 30 home runs, I think, Machado. But to bat 174 is very surprising with a polished hitter like Machado, even though he's starting to get up there in age a little bit, a lot of miles on his body. May 27th versus Philly 0-4. May 29th at the Nats 1-4 in RBI. May 30th at the Nats 2-4, a homer, 2 RBIs. And May 31st at the Nats 0-4. So like I said, Manny Machado, his baseline numbers in home runs and RBIs are at a good number, but obviously his batting average on base is a problem for him this season. So it still might take a decent amount to get him on your roster, because like I said, those big numbers, that usually is where he gets his stats in the home runs and RBIs, are at a decent number for Manny Machado. And also as well, this Padre team, they got off to a nice start. They've lost 6 out of their last 7 games to struggle a little bit. So I think Machado in this Padre team, they got to get back on track. They're finishing off their road trip on the East Coast of Philadelphia. Then they got 3 with the New York Mets on the weekend. So I think Manny Machado, he could get right. And like I said, it just takes him a little bit to get hot and get that average up, because the power numbers are where they want to be, but still I think you could get him on a little bit of a discount. So that's a few hitters I look to buy and trade for week 11 of the fantasy baseball season.